My name is Omar Mosin, and I'm here together with my colleague Mithusha. Mithusha.
Hi everyone, my name is Mithusha. I know most of you on this call, and I go by Mith.
And together, Mith and myself, we both work at the United Nations Office of Information Communication Technology. Our office is based in New York at UN headquarters. And you're looking here at the OSPO of the UN. There's just two people. People think it's a huge thing, but we're a tiny team and hopefully in the process of growing. Our role before getting to Reboot the Earth, just to give you a bit of a bigger picture and where Reboot the Earth belongs. So our role at the OSPO of the UN is basically to do three things. First is that we use more open versus closed source. So that's for our internal mechanics to be able to run the house. Second is that we have been creating thousands of software throughout the years, and a lot of it is actually very, very good software. And our job here, our second role is to open up what we've already have been building so others can use it. You can think of the UN as like a mini country with its own. We have the second biggest army in the world. We have fourth or fifth airlines in the world. It's said to run all this, we've mostly built our own thing, which we think is really useful for others. And the third and most important role that why we exist is to do co-creations. The financial situation of the organization is really bad and bleak. And while technology needs are growing, the financial means are going down. And we have we have a very interesting brand. We bring trust. People trust the UN. We are apolitical. We're not for profit. We're here really to our main thing, as you can see here, the little logo next to me is the Sustainable Development Goals. So those are 17 goals. It's about educating everyone. It's about feeding everyone. It's about stopping poverty. It's about stopping the inequalities. It's about taking care of the climate. So these are all problems that everybody care about. So what we're trying to do with co-creation, we don't want to build technology anymore. We want you to build it with us. And you as you global open source community. So we see the role of the UN as changing throughout in the short future is that instead of us building is us working with you, us incentivizing, us integrating, us connecting with the large community and not no more building. We can do that. And you will always be able to build much better than us. So that's our role as the OSPO of the UN. is engaging the community, but actually making you work and work for us. And we notice that every time we ask people to work for us, they do it and they do it better than us and they're happy doing it. So I don't know, there's some magic there. So talking about you working for us, here's an example of how you can help us, all of you. And this is called Reboot the Earth. It's our little initiative that we are very passionate about, that we've been seeing it grow in scopes, grow in interest in the last years, and it's been an incredible ride. And hopefully we'll pass you some of the virus after this presentation today. It is a virus that touched everybody who ever worked on Reboot the Earth because it's a really interesting, very special initiative. So it's a social coding event. It's a place where we are, as UN, we're full of problems. The problems of the world are our problems. So there's a lot of problems. So here is it's a conduit by which we put real life climate change challenges, problems. And then they say, hey, world, come help us. And the result we've been getting is pretty incredible. So it's maybe next slide. Yes, it started in 2019. Where at the time there was, as you can see, there's the photo of down on the middle. This is the Secretary General of the UN, and that's Greta Thunberg. And there was this big climate action conference in New York where we were asked by the Secretary General, how can we engage young people? Because climate change is about young people. We are living them. How can we make sure that they are actually actor? They feel they are an actor, and not only they feel they are an actor, they actually have an opportunity to contribute, to fix it. So that's how Reboot the Earth came, where we said, hey, we can go to young people or to students or to innovators around the world, give them real life problems. So this is actually one of the 5 or 6 key thing about Reboot the Earth, is that all these challenges that we give to people to fix are real life problems that are coming from another UN organization called FAO. It stands for Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN. They're based in Rome. They are our partner, and they give a real life problems. And we ask young people to work with us, and then we do a mentoring. Here's the list of our partners. So 2019, we did it in 5 or 6 countries. It was, I think, Germany, India, Malaysia, New York, Finland, and one is virtual, because not only we don't want to limit or make you don't need to be in one of these locations to be able to contribute. Once a year, we do one virtual where you can be anywhere you want in the planet. But that was 2019, and we were all happy, excited, and it was a big success. But then COVID happened. So 2020, it kind of went for a sleep. And then 2024, we brought it back again. And I'll pass it to Mithusha, my colleague, to give you an overview of what happened since then. You're muted, Mith.
The phrase of COVID is back now, muted. You can hear me? Perfect. Yeah, thanks everyone. So Omar was saying that our partners. So as you can see, we had the youth office, OICT, which is as FAO, who gives us the challenges for each of the location, which are real world challenges. And we specifically focus on the country that we're doing it in. And the Digital Public Good Alliance and Salesforce. So these were our partners for 2024. And these were our challenges that we hosted for each of the countries that Reboot was in. So for India, we had smart farming and protecting vulnerable groups that was impacted by climate change. And in New York, we had AI for climate resilience and drought management. And in, where is this? Ethiopia or Addis Ababa, we had drought management and water conservation. And the other one was AI and digital solution for access to market and trade. So as you can see, we make sure that each of the challenges that we give to the participants are very relevant to where they're living. And of course, we had the virtual challenge last year, which was water conservation through AI. And in 2024, these are our locations from New York, India, Ethiopia, Morocco, and one virtually. We had a total of 210 participants. You can see all the happy faces with their certificates, working. Some of them even had overnight hackathons. And for the winners from each of the locations, we brought them to New York City during Open Source Week, or as we called it last year, OSPOs for Good, before it became a whole week thing. We brought them together. We had Amina Mohammed, our ASG, we had our USG, and also the director of FAO over here. We said, come and showcase your solution in front of all these open source individuals that are here with us today. So there were over 700 people that was there with us. And as you can see over here, not all of our winners could make it. So we asked them to join virtually with our ASG, and I forgot his title, but he is also the youth envoy. No, not youth envoy, but something similar. Omar, jump in to say the name if you remember it. But we got them on an interview.
UN Secretary General Envoy for Youth.
Youth, correct. Yes. So we got them on an interview, and it's this is like the famous SDG room, which is you come and do podcasts and talks about what you've done. So this was a very big deal for the winners that were participating in Reboot the Earth. We still have the recording if you're interested to take a look at it. Not only that, but we brought in industry leaders from open source world and had them sit in front of them and pitch their ideas in front of them to say, hey, if you like any of the ideas, feel free to help them and scale their ideas. So this is what we did for last year, Auspice for Good. And not to mention, we also gave them $10,000 in cash prize for each of the winning teams. Not only that, but we flew them to Rome for FAO World Food Forum, and we gave them their own booth to talk about their solution related to agriculture, water, and AI. We gave them a big stage where they were able to present their ideas, and as you can see here, Omar, Felipe, Barbara, and Jameson from Digital Public Goods. Reboot the Earth for 2025, which was this year, and we expanded unexpectedly. Actually, we were expecting to only do it in 4 locations, but somehow ended up with 8. We doubled in the size. So we had it this year in San Francisco, New York City, Morocco, Rome, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Qatar, and India. And currently, the virtual challenge is going on right now as we speak. We just kicked it off 3 days ago. So that's going really well. And the deadline for that is the 10th of December, where they will have to submit their solutions. And the partners for Reboot the Earth 2025, as you can see here, OICT, FAO, Carnegie Mellon University, Salesforce, Digital Public Good, and University of Santa Cruz. Omar, do you want to take this on?
Yes, thank you so much. So just a couple of interesting things that we try to do, that we localize the challenge. It's based on where you are. So only people facing a problem are the best to answer that problem. These problems are coming from the country office of FAO, this UN agency that works in agriculture. So they all have either very related to climate change and agriculture. So farmers and actually human being affected with climate change. Perfect example, California was about wildfire management. New York, because of storms and so on, is about climate resilience. Morocco was about drought management. So we always localize that. Another thing that is interesting about Reboot the Earth is that we have different partners. So in India and in New York, it was with Salesforce. In Kigali and in Doha, Qatar, we had it with Carnegie Mellon, and we'll hear shortly from Tom his experience on this. In California, it was with University of California. Ethiopia, it was with the Ministry of Technology. Rabat, Morocco, was with the Ministry of Agriculture. And Rome was the FAO directly who did it. So we have all type of partners. To say 3 out of the 8 were with academia, but others were with private sector and government. So we have all kind. We work with everybody. That's the second thing. But the third thing, and I think the most important, because I'm sure you run hackathons in your life, maybe dozens of hackathons. Hackathons are fantastic, great to create the excitement, for us. First, it's great because it makes the UN be not super far away, 36,000 feet up here, but it's close. People can be actually and interact and be an actor and build tools and answer the call and be aware of climate change. The second thing for us really is about, we want amazing solutions. And hackathons, the problem is that after 2 days, or like people work, whatever, how long the hackathon, but at the end you get a pilot and it kind of dies. Here, Reboot the Earth, what makes it different is that for 6 months after, we offer the winners a mentoring program. So we mentor them. So this is one of our partners is Salesforce, that give us, last year we had 60 plus employees of Salesforce who volunteered their time to work with them. We're trying now to build a network of partner. And by the way, please, love for you, if you want to take some of these solutions, we can have that all the winners come and present what they build and see if any of the solution is close to your heart or close to your area of expertise and you want to mentor and work with the student. That would be also fantastic. So anyways, we're trying to find different type of mentorship program where we could help the winners. So far, we got in 8 locations, 8 winners, 8 winning solutions. We get 75 solutions in total, and now we're in the phase where we're about to start the mentorship. We want to also add this year, have a little twist where we can say, hey, can you pair? Can you like, I don't know, Kigali, the winner of Kigali, can you start working with the solution from California? Because we think that one is like has bigger potential or closer to market. So we're gonna try to offer some voluntary pairing so we have more hands on deck working on these solutions. The hackathon itself is we try to make it fun. So there's this aspect of judging. There's a judges that come at the end. We tell them there's a timeline where you have to stop hacking. All the teams have to send us three things: the source code of their solution, a short video demoing their solution, and then a PowerPoint explaining how they got there. So deadline, they have to submit these three things, and then there's a jury that comes, and they each have to pitch their solution to the jury, which makes it really fun and interesting for them. And at the end, there's always one winner per location. For 26, now, thanks to our friends and partners from the University of California, we're going to have early next year one in San Diego, the supercomputer center of the UC San Diego, and we're very excited about that one. As you can see, we're going to have 9 locations, but there's a lot of empty spots on this map. As you can see, Latin America is not there. Southeast Asia, Central Asia. We have India, but we don't have North Asia. We don't have the Australia. So we want to do more with you, together with you again. And I'm looking at the time, 7:20. Perfect. So over to you, Mitch. Anything that I forgot, and then we can open the floor for questions.
No, absolutely not. I think we covered everything, but if you are interested in knowing about how we run a hackathon, for example, the day 1 and day 2, and want to partner with us, let us know. But like I said, we started off thinking we were going to do only 4 locations, but had doubled in size. I don't expect less for 2026. I feel like this whole map will be filled for 2026 locations. So if you're interested, let us know. And let's reboot the Earth.
Thank you both. And maybe just for the recording, you could let people know how they can reach you if they are interested in actually doing something on this, because we will pause our question session till after we hear from Tom, because we're going to include that in the recording. But if you can just maybe share how folks can contact you both, that would be great.
So the best way to contact us is open source dash, help me. Is it open source at un.org? You're muted.
Open-source@un.org.
Open-source@un.org.
That's great. Thank you both. And I will now hand it over to Tom, who's going to give us some reflections about how it goes when you're actually running or being involved in the Reboot the Earth hackathons.
All right. Hello, everyone. I know there's a few people on the call that I haven't had the opportunity to meet in person yet, and I hope to see you in the future in Dublin. My name is Tom Hughes. I'm at Carnegie Mellon University. I am the OSPO community manager. I work under the leadership of Saeed Chaudhry, who's on the call. Claire really wanted to call this Tom's Top Tips because of the alliteration, but I went for Reboot the Earth Reflections for that alliteration. So we partnered on doing Reboot the Earth at our CMU Africa campus in Kigali, Rwanda, and at our CMU Q campus in Doha, Qatar. So I want to do some reflections. I really tried to organize these around what I feel other community managers at OSPOs would want to hear when thinking about Reboot the Earth, and whether the partner or other just like drivers for success for these programs that we did. I also tend to be very verbose, so I'm going to try my best to keep this to 10 minutes. So starting out with value, like what value did Reboot the Earth pose for Carnegie Mellon? The one that was really leapt out to us first is we have these 2 amazing international campuses, and it was an awesome opportunity to highlight them and, to really highlight not only the students, but also the regional initiatives we have at our two international campuses and really get some eyes on them and bring a great partnership and a really like high level partner like the UN to these campuses. So that was a big driver for us. And along those lines, being able to connect our faculty, students, and partners with the United Nations and the wider network. They were mentioning the different partners throughout the program. We had a lot of really great conversations, interactions with FOW throughout both events, and that was a really valuable thing to connect our community with. Another thing that was valuable for us is we were able to integrate some of our own regional initiatives into the event due to the like open door nature and open invitation. Obviously, it wasn't just purely CMU students on a CMU campus. It's a much wider open invitation event, which also created the perfect opportunity. So specifically at CMU Africa, we have what's called the UPANZI network, which is a network of engineering labs throughout Africa. We were able to not only have them as participants, but also provide mentorship and feedback and engagement. And it was a really, really excellent opportunity given the regional foci of these events. Focuses. I always stumble on that. And then this was covered very well by Mitz, but the experience for the community to work on real world issues, but not only that they're real world issues, but having that regional focus we noticed was incredibly impactful for students because they were able to bring their own personal experiences, but also work on something that felt very, very relevant to their immediate community and lives. In terms of specifically aligning with the CMU OSPO's goals, so as always, we're always looking for opportunities to foster and grow our community. We really appreciated that this was an accessible event with a low barrier to participate. There wasn't some technical hurdle that someone had to clear before they were allowed in the door. It was very low. You didn't have to be like a master's level in CS in order to participate in a meaningful way. And so that was a really fantastic way because we love to emphasize the accessibility of open source and the ability for anyone to participate. Create and reinforce community connections beyond our campus. I've spoken to that a little bit. Obviously, the event theme of developing open source solutions utilizing open source technologies and methods, perfect alignment there. I know that Mitz and Omar mentioned in a prior Reboot the Earth they had cash prizes, but in this round of Reboot the Earth, one of the things that we really appreciated was this emphasis on academic and societal participation, like that being the incentive, like participating because it matters over monetary prizes. I've said this on other Curates calls. I'm not a big fan of monetary prizes because I think it changes the dynamic of collaboration. And I really love that everyone was there because they were really passionate about what they were trying to achieve. And that leads into also the fact that we were able to have the UN SDGs as this North Star for the event and the challenges. Some drivers for success for the event. Really big one. Eduardo and Hassan from Doha and Kigali, respectively, would not have happened without their leadership. We had amazing faculty leadership and buy-in. I felt that was essential to the event, not only to have them as subject matter experts, but to really bring in the network just within our campus and beyond to help contribute to mentors and participants. And again, coming up with ideas for some of these regional partners and initiatives that could take part in this event. Really, really essential in my mind was having that buy-in from two amazing faculty members of ours. Specifically with Doha, I was pleasantly surprised. I should say surprised. I was thrilled to see that we had really engaged student leadership. Specifically, at CMUQ, we have a student group, an open source student group, and members from that group stepped up to actually help run the event and brought a wealth of experience running very large scale student hackathons, but really engaged, really got student volunteers involved, and made a really meaningful impact to the event. And it felt excellent to have student leadership as part of this. Um, I've already spoken about the open door to regional initiatives in wider community, and the integration of community partners into mentorship. And then one thing I also felt was really great that contributed to the success of the event was that the challenges provided by FAL were very, very clear and engaging, but it was an open-ended deliverable. It wasn't you had to deliver a chatbot by a certain hour. You had to deliver a fully functional app. It was about delivering a open source solution. And I felt like that open-ended deliverable allowed for a lot of creativity and a lot of multimodal teams. Some observations, I just said this, but the low technical barrier to entry and open-ended deliverables allow for a lot of multimodal teams to form. So people were able to bring all different types of expertise, not just technical, to the table for a social coding event. I would say that I noticed across our two hackathons that there was a tendency for teams to put an emphasis on a product over a solution. So trying to have something that looked like a very fancy fully developed app or something that felt very much like a fully developed product over thinking through a solution that integrated a full open source ecosystem. I don't see this as much as a criticism as much. I don't want this to come off as a criticism, more of a trend I noticed, and it created these excellent points of discussion that I had with a lot of student groups about the concept of an open source ecosystem and really opened their eyes to the ideas of how to work with larger communities and partners and how to think beyond kind of Silicon Valley product mindset into more of a global open source mindset. Along those lines, it was interesting to see that major assumptions about economic, political, technical drivers that was challenged because they had to work in this real world context. So things like I hit this hard on both hackathons, but we talked a lot about user literacy and also technological accessibility for their solutions. And so they were coming up with a lot of interesting ways to make sure that a user would be able to use their solution in a way that was equitable and accessible for that population. And it really challenged them to go beyond, again, that kind of Silicon Valley kind of product mindset. Subject matter mentorship was a major boost to block teams. And I mean that not only from having people who were experts in AI and CS, but also having people who were we had some experts from FOWL who were able to provide a lot of feedback and ideas to the agricultural and economic challenges of the areas. Now that was I noticed a really big boost to teams that felt like they were blocked. And in general, I noticed that teams really expressed a desire for they wanted more time to kind of see what everyone else developed and what they worked on and kind of compare and contrast. So that's something I'm also thinking about for the future. So potential improvements, and this is for things that I would like to work on. Things like training or templates for presentation and pitching skills. Some people in the hackathons had never gone up and given a 3-minute pitch before. We did a pitching workshop in Doha, and it went really well and helped them feel a lot more comfortable. And I know everyone that's ever done a live technical demo knows the horrors of doing technical demos. So I think having examples of what a good video demo looks like, I think would help make the teams feel more comfortable and about what they need to put up on the stage. I wanted to note that in Doha, we had this science fair model of first round judging where all 20 teams were all in the same very large space and judges rotated throughout. I thought it was fantastic because we not only did we get to see a lot of the projects at the same time, we also were able to have students not in the event and partners not in the event. And even myself, I was able to walk around and engage with students' projects outside of when they were speaking to the judges. And that also made me think that there's potential to invite more partners to these type of final presentations and discussion to kind of celebrate the work that's been done in a social public atmosphere. And then finally, some ideas for the future coming out of this, some things that inspired. I'm thinking about a simultaneous cross-campus hybrid event. So I've discussed with some of our faculty members about, hey, can we do something where Pittsburgh, Kigali, and Doha all do something at the same time and all work together and like further deepen those connections across our campuses. I think it'd be great to focus on a particular tool or method or trend. I know AI was part of the theme this year, but I think like digging down even deeper into that about something that's really topical at that point, I think would be a fascinating thing to add. And then external partnerships for things like, technical resources, like if someone wants to bring in compute resources to the event, or a curated data set, or maybe like additional technical mentorship. So those are my reflections. I'm always happy to hop on a call and share experiences. And I have not been looking at the clock, but I hope that was 10 minutes.
That was great. Thank you so much, Tom. And I think if it's okay with Emily, I might just call on you, who's done it also recently. If you have anything to add, Emily, while we've still got the recording going, perhaps you would like to mention a few things that your experiences taught you in the last little while when you ran Reboot the Earth.
Sure. Thanks. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. What I could add, I think some of the things that I noticed from our event were just anyone who's run a hackathon knows how quickly the time goes. So I think something that I would think about for the future was sort of the end goal and how much to weight it around like the pitch versus the product, maybe, because I noticed that being like one of the tensions when you have really limited time. I would definitely second what Tom said about observing that participants really wanted to see what other people were working on. And we did try to facilitate that at UCSC with sort of like a social hour showcase. But I think we could have maybe done a better job thinking through how to like kind of promote those interactions during that time. So yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, participants really liked having some short workshops to go to. The other thing that I would highlight as like something that was really impactful, I think, about our event, in that our theme was wildfire, as has been mentioned. And I really cannot overstate the impact that it had to have CAL FIRE there, which is like our state fire agency. And I think, for anyone who's running one of these events, if there's any way that you can bring in like those local on the ground external partners, like participants loved talking to like the fire chiefs and the firefighters. And that was just like so incredibly informative. And the agencies also really, really valued like having participants think about these issues. And so it's also opened a lot of doors, I think, for us to continue those discussions like long beyond the event. So yeah, sorry that was a bit scattered, but I think that might be like my biggest recommendation for other people is to think about those like local partners who are aligned with the challenges. Because the only thing I think we could have done better in that regard is maybe have also had like a local farmer come, since one of our challenges was around agriculture and irrigation. But yeah, that was very successful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's so important to make sure that the technology actually, fits the challenges and getting that read word experience. So thank you for sharing that as well.